everyone, and welcome to A Stitch in Time. Today is Thursday, February 9th, 2023, and this is episode 245. I'm Carol, also known as Knits and Pearls on Ravelry, and I live east of Vancouver in the Fraser Valley of British Columbia, Canada, where it is wet and dark and gloomy today, which leads to apology number one. I'm afraid the lighting on this episode is probably not going to be the greatest. It's never ideal in this west-facing room at this time of day anyway, but because of the weather, it is particularly bad. However, this is the only time today that I have available to record, and this was the best room to do it in. So I hope it's not going to be too bad and that you will enjoy the episode regardless. Apology number two. I did not take the time to get dressed up and do makeup today. So other than throwing on a little eyeliner, I probably am gonna look maybe a little pale or washed out. I have a limited time available to me today, and I just didn't bother taking the time to throw on any makeup. Before we get into everything else, I just want to remind you that there are a couple of make-alongs taking place in the Ravelry group. The first is another year of stash, in which you can share your projects that you are making from stash in a year-long chatter thread. And the other is the Yarn of the Month Club, which is a monthly make-along in which we endeavor to knit, or I shouldn't say knit, in which we endeavor to use up special skeins or special bumps of fiber throughout the coming year. All the details are in the first post of each of the pertinent threads, so I hope you'll come by the Ravelry group and join in the fun. Which leads to apology number 3, in which I have been sorely absent from said make-alongs. In fact, I have been hardly on social media at all this week, and apologies in advance. It's going to be much the same for the coming week. So I know that some of you have taken the time to comment on YouTube, and I thank you for that. I have not had a chance to do more than just kind of glance at them. I usually like to respond to all comments, and I have not gone into the Ravelry make-along threads at all this week. But I can't wait to see what you've all been up to. I have, however, been in touch with the two winners, with two winners from last week's episode, and I am still waiting on to hear back from one person from the December Personal Sock Yarn Club winners. So if you took part in the December Personal Sock Yarn Club and you have not yet watched episode 244, you might want to do so. All right, so I thought rather than leave all the explaining to the end of the episode, I thought I would rejig things. Is that the right word? I don't know. You can tell that I am not at my best today either, and I apologize for that. Anyway, I thought that I would switch things up a little bit today and do something good right off the bat, because that will help explain a lot of the other things to follow. So last episode, I told you that we are planning to renovate our kitchen this year. It's something we've been talking about for a very long time and been saving up for a number of years. And we finally bit the bullet. We had a couple of different companies come in and give us quotes. So when we last spoke, we had received one quote, and we had an appointment the following day to see the other. And when we got the first quote, we were rather disappointed because it was a fair bit above our budget, and we were kind of resigning ourselves to the fact that we were probably only going to be able to concentrate on the kitchen area of our dining room, kitchen combined room, and leave the dining room area for another time. And we had the appointment booked for the next morning, but we also were pretty sure it was going to come in even higher than our first quote, just based on the fact that it was a much more involved quote. The first person just kind of did a very rough sketch of one area while he was at our home, and then just put together a quote of all the materials and labor without lots of specific details and no sorts of plans drawn out for what we had talked about. So we were going into the showroom of this other company, and knew that we were going to be shown plans of the layout and shown various, types of cabinets and all those things. And just based on that, we thought, yeah, it's probably going to be a lot more money. Well, my something good is that we were pleasantly surprised. We knew right away that we were in all likelihood going to be able to afford what we were being shown. It turned out that this second quote was considerably better than the first one. And not only was it cheaper, it was involving a much better quality product. The first quote we were given was for melamine cabinets. And the second quote, it's all wood, stained or painted. Just the professionalism was much higher. We really felt when we had both companies in, this was the company we were leaning to as far as connecting with the person that we were speaking to. He just seemed to get us. It really impressed us because one thing that really impressed me was one of the first things he did is he came in and he saw our mountain view from that room and said, oh, we've got to highlight this in some way, and make sure the table's here so you can sit at the table and look out on the view, and which our table is in that area anyway, but he really saw how he wanted to highlight this. And he also said, do you mind if I look through your cupboards? And I'm thinking, oh no, don't look through my messy, cluttered cupboards. But he did, and one of the first cupboards he opened is an upper cupboard where we keep all our games, board games. And he says, oh, I see you guys play games. Oh, we could, on this wall build a cabinet and you can store your games over here and blah, blah, blah. He just really took the time to feel out how we lived our lives and what would be most beneficial to us, rather than just make a sort of generic kitchen. So, and we just really clicked with them. So we are absolutely thrilled to be on our way. Work is expected to start at the end of March. We've already picked out our cabinets and our countertop, and all our various features in our cupboards. We've ordered our appliances. They arrive on Tuesday. One reason we didn't delay delivery is that our fridge is on its last legs, and we've been like, please, please, please just see us through to the renovations. And so we're going to go ahead and start using that fridge right away, and also the stove. We're going to pass on our old stove to our younger son because it's much better shape than his is. And we'll start using our new stove right away too. And then we'll just put aside the dishwasher until the work is done. We are getting a 36-inch counter depth fridge to replace our 33-inch fridge. So currently we do not have a place in the kitchen where this fridge will fit. So it's going to be in the living room for the time being, but we're going to have to move things out of the kitchen when we actually do the work anyway. So that's no big deal. It'll be, it's all for the good of the cause. So all I can show you right now, this is, just looks like a white, I don't even know how well that's gonna show up. Can you see there's some wood grains in there? Yeah, I think you can there. So this is what our cabinets are gonna look like. We're just going for a very simple design. And then our paint is going to be about this color to match what is in part of our living room. And so this is the countertop that we've chosen. Again, I'm not sure how well that's gonna show up. It's got lots of stuff going. So cabinets, countertop. I took a picture against the wall color. Maybe that will give you an idea too. So we started with color scheme. So that's begun. Like I said, we've got our counters and the different features picked out and the layout finalized. Our heads have just been spinning. Once we met with him on Friday, and then we crunched some numbers. The quote did come up higher than what we had also, hoped. But, oh, hang on. So now I owe you another apology for the interruption. I thought I heard someone moving around, and so I went to investigate, and sure enough it was my husband. He had just stopped by briefly before heading back out again to work, and he purposely was trying to be quiet because he knew I was planning to record today and he didn't want to interrupt it. But just kind of freaked me out a bit hearing someone and not expecting anyone to be here, but all is well. Anyway, I think I was saying that our second quote also came out a bit higher than we'd hoped, but it offered so much more value, and we were able to crunch the numbers and make it work. And we know it will come back to us in the future when we go to sell this house. To have an updated kitchen. So yes, it's very exciting. But what it meant was that we've spent a lot of time on this. We have focused a lot on it this week. Friday night, when Cameron came home from work, we were in the kitchen with a measuring tape and trying to decide between two plans that he had drawn up, and discussing the pros and cons of each, finally, deciding on one of them. We've been pricing out appliances and other things. We went out shopping, did a bit of looking around for things on Saturday, and then first thing Tuesday morning, we had another appointment at the showroom. That's when we picked out our cabinets and countertops and all the various features that we wanted in the cupboards. And then our contractor came the following morning and did a final measure of the kitchen and just a final breakdown of everything that we're doing. So yes, it's official, and despite having a mix of emotions, mostly I'm just really happy and excited to see this happen. Okay, let's move on to what you really came here for. And unfortunately, there is not a lot of crafting that happened this week. So I apologize yet again. I purposely decided that was the theme of this episode as I kind of looked at what I had to offer you today. I do have a few things that I have been working on now and again. Just doesn't seem like very much. But I do have a finished project. So last episode, I believe I've said episode an awful lot this week. So if you're, doing a drinking game or something, sorry about that. Anyway, last time we spoke, I showed you a kit for a chenille pillow that I had gotten from Connecting Threads that I was hoping to get sewn up before Sunday, which was my nephew's wife's baby shower. And I did manage between Thursday night and Friday to do all the sewing and washing, and then on Saturday I was able to finish it. So without giving too much away ahead of time, I took some photos of the process. So just to remind you, and I'll stick some pictures in here as I talk. So I had a panel. I had 4 panels, all the same. And so I lined up of this lamb. So I lined up as best as I could the design one on top of each other, and pinned it all the way around, and then I began sewing diagonal lines across the entire panel. And then once all the lines were sewn, I tried a couple of different methods. Well, I did a little sample to start. I didn't want it to sample on the real thing. I did up a little sample of some scrap fabric to decide the best way to cut between these diagonal lines to create the chenille effect. When I ordered the kit, I saw that one of the tools that was recommended was a cutter designed for this very thing. And I think it was $20-something US. And I thought, for one little pillow, for a process that I may only ever do once in my life, I wasn't about to invest that. And I thought, I knew it would take longer, but I figured I could do the same with scissors. A couple of other things I tried is, actually, let me grab it because it's right here. I got this letter opener from our insurance company years and years ago, and I thought, oh, maybe this would work. Works a similar way, I suspect, as the cutter, and you would insert this in the little space between the lines and then slide it along. Well, I tried that. That didn't work. If you can see, there's like a blade here. That wasn't going to work, so discarded that idea. Then I thought, oh, maybe just the seam ripper buttonhole tool that came with my sewing machine. I thought, well, maybe that would be another thing. Just insert it and slide it along, slit the fabric as you would with a buttonhole. But that didn't work very well either. This point ended up going through the back piece of fabric in one area. I thought, no, I don't want that to happen. So I did it the old-fashioned way. I took a small pair of scissors and I cut all the lines, or in between all the lines, with a pair of scissors. So you cut through the top 3 layers of fabric and you leave the back layer intact. And then I made the pillow backing and sewed it to the front of the pillow, and then I washed it and put it in the dryer, and voila, I had a chenille pillowcase. And so then I filmed a little show and tell with the thing completed, and I'm pretty sure I talk about the pillow form in it. So I'm going to go ahead and insert that here. And if for some reason I missed out on that part, I will fill you in later, but I'm pretty sure I talked about what I did with the pillow form. So enjoy the finished product here. I think it turned out super, super cute. You will have seen photos and heard explanations of all the various stages of construction of this cushion, and here it is, it's all done, and I think it turned out so cute. Let me bring you in a little bit closer so you can see the chenille texture. So here you can see all the diagonal lines that I sewed, and you can also see where I cut through 3 out of the 4 layers of fabric. Then I applied the backing, washed and dried it, and this is what happened. Created this really cool, ripply, fuzzy texture. So I think you get the ripples along here because the fabric has been sewn and cut on the bias. And even though you get kind of this frayed look along the edges, because again it's been sewn on the bias and cut on the bias, you're not losing shreds of fabric. You're not losing any threads off of it. It just stays like this. So let me turn this around and just show you what the back looks like. Okay, so here's the back. So I just followed the directions, cut 2 16 by 16 inch pieces of this backing fabric, and then I sewed on each of them a double 1 by 1 inch hem. Then I laid down the front of the cushion face up, and then I laid these 2 pieces of fabric down right sides together, overlapping the back pieces, and then I sewed around the whole edge. And then I took the extra precaution of zigzagging those raw edges. I figured if the cushion was going to be removed for washing occasionally, I just thought that would help preserve those edges and give them a little bit more strength. So I did that. I clipped the corners, and then I turned the cushion right sides out and washed and dried it. And then I had bought a 20 inch by 20 inch pillow form with the intention of doing some surgery on it and turning it into a 16 by 20 pillow form. But just for fun, I decided to see if I could stuff the whole cushion into this pillowcase without having to do that surgery, and it worked. So we have a very, very sturdy, fluffy cushion, but I didn't have to mess around with the pillow form at all. I think it looks super cute, and I hope that it will be well received. And I'm happy to say that this pillow was very well received by my nephew's wife. She immediately put it like this. She said, "It's so soft and I just want to curl up and go to sleep with it. Is it okay if I claim it?" And I said she could do whatever she wants with it. So I do have some matching fabric for a quilt, and I will be sewing that in the next little while. Okay, works in progress. I have been working slowly, but purposely slowly, on my Valley Wide Toque by Abby Knits. I am knitting this for the Yarn of the Month Club with some yarn I got at Fibers West. I remember that when I was editing, that was the name of the Fiber Festival I was trying to remember last episode. Take a sip. Is this yarn here? It is from Kinfolk Yarn and Fiber, and it is the Kinfolk Steadfast Sock in the Port Moody colorway. And as I explained last week, Port Moody is where I grew up, and I just love this. So I'm using this yarn held double because the pattern calls for a DK weight. And I've done 9 out of the 16 pattern repeats that I need. So the hat is knit sideways and then join in the round with either Kitchener stitch or 3-needle bind off, and then you draw your needle through the top stitches to create the crown. So it's these really great cables, some twisted stitches here. Now I got to, I think you can tell because it looks a little bit puffier. I got to around here, well, no, I got to around here, and then I realized that I had crossed a cable the wrong way, so I had two going in the same direction, one after another. And so I put all the stitches on this side on a holder and all the stitches on this side on a holder, and I dropped down and re-knit all these. I think there were 16 rows, and I re-knit them, and I'm pretty sure it's right now. And I also think it'll block out when it's, it doesn't even look too bad now, but especially once it's washed and blocked, I think all of that will smooth out nicely. So I haven't actually done this yet, but I guess I could try it on how it's gonna be. So here, how about I do this? And when I edit, I can see how it looks because I can't tell from here. But I think it's really pretty. I love the color, like love that subtlety of the tone, you know, that I love the tonal nature of this yarn with all those colors, and love the cabling, and I'm happy with it so far. So I've been working on that now and again, kind of savoring it. I have also continued with, oh, I'll show you that in a minute. Just look at my notes. This is the order they're in, so I might as well show this to you. I have worked a little bit on my plain stockinette socks. I have this yarn. It is Paint Sock by Laine du Nord, which is Wool of the North. And this is color 10, I think. Yeah, color 10, so no fancy name. But it is a, I don't know if you can tell, it's awfully small. Can you see how that sock stripes up with all these different colors? So that's what you can see in here, all the different colors. And I'm about the same place on each of the socks. So this is how they are working up so far. So each color stripe is divided by this color. You can see them coming into some darker tones there. So here's sock number 2. And these are going to get quite a bit of love this coming weekend because I have some car time coming up. And I'll tell you about that shortly. So I am looking forward to working on these in the car on the weekend. And finally, what I was going to show you is I've completed a couple more of my blanket squares for my blanket of cheer. They are still, of course, lacking the borders, but I actually had an email earlier this morning to say that my plain yarn is on its way. So when it gets here, I'm going to start adding some borders and potentially begin sewing them together. But I'm still debating whether to do that right away or wait till all the blocks are done so that I can decide on the best layout. I am still also debating on exactly how I'm going to do borders or finish this off. I also have an idea for doing plain blocks in between these blocks. I really can't decide. So I'm going to have to experiment a bit once I get my yarn. But for now, these are coming along really nicely. I'm still not bored with this at all. I'm having so much fun. I've actually knit up a few just the plain colors, but haven't added the self-striping yet. Just sometimes when I haven't really had the capacity to even pick up along here and decide, you know, which stripe I'm going to start with and all that. I've just gone ahead, cast on a new colored block or colored square and just gone with it. So that is it for all the crafting. So as you can see, not a whole lot that's happened this week. So as I mentioned, I did go to the baby shower on Sunday. I was amazed at how many people were there. I haven't been to a baby shower in a long time. But there were I think there was between 25 and 30 people there. It was held at my sister's home. She's the grandma, but it was, I'm just gonna call her my niece because it's easier than saying my nephew's wife. She's my niece now. So my niece's two friends organized everything. They had beautiful decorations. They had a lovely spread of food. Played a little game with trying to guess the age of my niece in the various photos. We had little pink clothespins that we each got one when we went in, and the idea was you were not allowed to say baby, and if you did, someone would take your clothespin. But I don't know if they forgot about it or what, but they never did sort of award any prize at the end for whoever had the most clothespins. But it was just kind of fun anyway. And yeah, she received lots of beautiful gifts. So I was really pleased, actually. She had moved out from Ontario to marry my nephew. And she's only lived out here a couple of years, and part of that time they didn't even live in the same city. And I was amazed at how big a circle of friends she had. I know she's met a lot of people through church, and then some through work and some through other things. So there were a lot of friends there, and then also 3 of my sisters and some relatives on my nephew's dad's side also. So, and then another of my nieces, my nephew's 2 sisters, and then also another sister's daughter. So big crowd. Very nice occasion. Lovely way to spend a Sunday afternoon. And even better because I got the gift done in time. I've been doing lots of curling this week in addition to our regular game Monday night, which we won, yay. I curled yesterday. I spared for a team and coincidentally ended up playing against one of my brothers-in-law and one of my sisters. They are on the same team at that time, but they had a bye that week, so they were actually sparing for a different team and coincidentally ended up playing against the team I was sparing for. Because I had looked at the schedule and I knew I wasn't going to be curling against any of my family. On 3 different teams in that league, I have a relative. So I have one sister on one team, one brother-in-law on another, and then this other sister and brother-in-law on the same team. So anyway, it just made the game extra interesting, extra fun, and it was a very close game. And we won that one too. So that was fun. I get to spare for that same team again next week. So now we'll know each other a little bit better. That'll help. Things were a little bit tricky to start because they also had another spare. And so it was, 2 original team members trying to figure out 2 spares, which, makes things a little difficult. But it was great. It was really fun. And then I've got a couple more sparing games lined up for March. So that's good. My game is definitely improved as the year's gone on, and I'm just really enjoying curling. Um, Another thing that I really enjoyed this week was last night, the uh, four of us who, when I say the four of us, my three sisters and I, who all live here, went out last night to see 80 for Brady, which was hilarious. It was such a good movie. So it's, if you're not familiar, it's four women in their 80s, well, one in their 70s, and she makes sure you know that. um, they go to the Super Bowl. It's in 2017, and they're huge Tom Brady fans, and it's all about their little adventure. So it stars Jane Fonda, Lily Tomlin, Rita Moreno, and Sally Field. And they just killed it. On the radio on Sunday, as I was driving to the baby shower, I heard that it was second for box office last week. And I think that is pretty awesome that these women in their 70s, 80s, and 90s, I think Rita Moreno is in her 90s, can headline a show like that. And just think of the star power. You know, we all know Hollywood is known for ageism, and so to see these women just knock it out of the park, I just think that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And then one of my sisters also said it also speaks for the buying power of like middle-aged women, because the audience was full of women, you know, our age. Not surprisingly, that's who the film appealed to. And yeah, you know what? You can make movies for us too. We don't always have to see young, beautiful women, and who are usually paired with older leading men, right? I'm going on more of a soapbox than I expected to, but you know, it's true. One of the trailers that was played while we were waiting for the movie is for Book Club 2, which also has Jane Fonda, blanking, she played Murphy Brown, Candice Bergen, Mary Steenburgen, and I can't remember, there's another, I think there's a fourth woman in it. I'll look it up and put it here, so you don't have to go and look it up. Anyway, I saw the first Book Club movie. It was really good, and so we've already decided as sisters that we're gonna get together. I'm the only one who's seen the original, so we're gonna find it somehow, get together and watch it together, and then go see the new one when it comes out. You know, we realize like we've never, all four of us, gone to a movie together before. Three of us did a few years ago, but it is a very rare thing. And we had such a nice time. We went to the movie, and then we went over to a restaurant in the same plaza. We just walked over there afterwards, had Appy's for dinner, kind of. Because the show we went to was like 4:40. So we were, you know, home by 8 o'clock. It was awesome. Yeah, such an enjoyable evening. We definitely want to do that again. And finally, as far as what's going on is tomorrow morning, Cameron and I are heading up to go see my mom. So we are coming back Sunday afternoon, and while we're there, we're going to try out our new snowshoes. I don't know if I ever mentioned that we bought each other snowshoes for Christmas, and we haven't tried them out yet. And so Friday afternoon, after we get there, because we're leaving, or Cameron's taking Friday and Monday off. So Friday afternoon, we'll drive out to the cabins, and my mom has some things that she wants to take out there. Plus, we'll just try them out, walk all around, and, you know, just walk around the property a bit, try them out. And then we're going to try and find a trail. Apparently, there are some trails in the vicinity that we can try out. So we'll do that on Saturday. Friday night, my mom's taking us to the Legion for their Friday night roast beef dinner. And then on Saturday, I'm cooking jambalaya, which is one of my mom's favorite meals that I make. And so this afternoon, I'm just gonna prep like the chicken and the sausage, pre-cook those. And then I add some prawns to it fresh. So got to do that, and then just kind of do, some packing and stuff. Yesterday afternoon, I did some grocery shopping for her. So we've got a bunch of groceries to take up, and yeah, just figure out what we need to wear. It's nice. It's only 2 nights, so packing clothes is not a big deal, except we're gonna have to make sure we have, the warm stuff we need for trekking around in the snow. Anyway, that is it for this week. I am anticipating recording again next week, so unless something goes terribly wrong, next week should be a little bit more chill, other than, the fact Cameron's gonna be off on Monday, so I'm not, anyway, doesn't matter. It's just gonna be lots of stuff going on, but lots of good stuff. But yeah, I will not probably be online a whole lot. If I have time later today, I'll try and catch up on messages, but please forgive me if I don't get back to you. I know a lot of you will say, oh, don't worry about responding. You don't have to respond. But it's important to me to do that. I like to touch base with you, and I do appreciate when you take the time to reach out. And I also really like to have that, do the same in the Ravelry group, to comment on what you make and be a part of that community also. That's just another whole element of doing this whole podcasting thing. It's fun to get on and show you what I've made, but there wouldn't be much point doing that if I didn't have, feedback in return. So I do want to maintain that connection with all of you. All right, so have yourselves a wonderful week, and I will talk to you again very soon. Bye for now.